Once again, the mainstream Indian media is caught in the crossfire, this time not in India but in Nepal. So much so that the term Godi media seems to have reached Nepal even before the Indian reporters reached to catch the ongoing conflict over there. Several protesters heckled the Indian media and journalists and asked them to leave the country. A few of them were attacked and some brutally. This raises questions on the credibility of the media, which we've been raising time and again, as to why the Indian media does not carry the kind of credibility that it should, like the rest of the foreign media which is covering Nepal. Is it because of the bias that some of the reporters have shown in the kind of reporting, or the suspected interference of the Indian government in the internal affairs of Nepal? Well, the reasons may be too many and very few for the reporters to explain as to how and why they were targeted. But the fact that they were heckled and chased away from reporting raises serious questions. The one of the primary questions that comes to the mind is the fact as to why the editors of these channels risked the lives of these journalists by sending them to these regions where the hate against the Indian media was visible. Well, TRPs are essential, but not at the cost of the lives of these people who've been deputed to cover these protests. And even though they were few assaults, after that, a few senior journalists also questioned the fact that for 2 years, when Manipur was burning, none of the mainstream media felt it worth enough to go and cover the protests in Manipur, but they suddenly find it newsy and TRP gathering when the similar protests happen in Nepal. Why is it that Manipur was ignored and Nepal is being highlighted as the protests over there become violent and aggressive, leading to toppling of the government?
प्लीज यूर सपोर्ट में हम आपके सपोर्ट में
आई डोंट वांट टू सपोर्ट
ओके
वी डोंट वांट टू सपोर्ट
ओके
What once again stands exposed is the fact that the credibility of the Indian mainstream media, especially the Hindi channels, is once again at stake. As even the protesters, the young youth of Nepal, are questioning the motives of these journalists as to why they are there and for what intentions. It's time to introspect, it's time to rethink as to how the Indian media needs to focus on trying to at least restore some of the credibility it's lost in the last couple of years. And it's a very serious editorial call that the editors will have to take on this to ensure that journalists who go out on the field do not face the kind of fire that they faced in Nepal. Though there are several Indian states where this kind of coverages could have taken place, but because of the fear of attacks, they were not covered, Manipur being the biggest example. Restoring the credibility of the media is in the hands of the journalists. And that's a big task and a big challenge which is in front of us. How collectively the media can restore the credibility so that they're not targeted just for being there is a big question. Vijay Grover, Bangalore.